All right. Welcome everyone to sorry about that, to our third part of the sales training. So welcome everyone to part three of our sales training. Thank you for taking your time, and I hope you'll find this very, very valuable in your improved sales, negotiations, and for your future career and business. So let's get right into it. And of course, as we always do, we'll start with our vision and our mission. It is so important to us, and it's something that really is central for everything we do, every action we take, is to first of all think about our clients and think about the fact that we make dreams reality. And to realize that every single day we do change lives. Every single thing we do brings a champagne moment to someone's life. We strive to be the best at everything we do every day because people depend on us and have put their future in our hands. We do honor that commitment by improving every single day. And this is so true, and that is why we once again are working on sales, working on how to help people make the right decision. So first off, what have we covered? Well, we started by why do we sell? And what we really discussed there together was selling is helping. We sell because we know that we have a solution that can help someone, and all we're really doing is recommending that solution. That's all sales is. It's finding the right solution, recommending it, and then helping the person take action. We also realized that everyone is looking for what's in it for me. I mean, we know why we're selling. We know why we want someone to do this. We know why we want to make the profit or the sale or the deal, or why we want to make a difference for their life, but they don't care. They want to know, why does this make a difference for their life? Why should they want to do it? And that's what's in it for me. So never think about yourself when you're selling. Always think about the other person. Why would they want what you are selling? And that really comes down to knowing their greatest pain. And that comes down to listening, 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 listening. Then we went through the 6 steps for handling objections. And really, you can sum that whole process up with RESPECT, respect. You're respecting the other person. You start by listening to their objection. You repeat their objection to make sure you understood it. You then isolate it by asking if they have any other objections. And then you question it so that you truly, truly understand. Before, when you've finally gone through all that, that's when you start answering their objections. And then you close. And that's where we went through the sales process. The why should they be talking to you? Earn the right. The needs analysis, understanding every single thing you can about your client. The presentation of your product. How to handle the objection, and then how to close. Today's webinar, we'll be going through more specifically, how do you present your product? And then when you get to that last line, how do you negotiate the best price? We're going to look at some specific techniques today, some specific tools you can use to solve this. All right, so how do you present your product? First off, telling is not selling. Stories sell everything. Everyone buys a story. As many of you know, I usually split people into 4 different personality types, or I give 4 types of traits, and then obviously people can be any type of combination. But first off, you have, if you look at what they call the DISC analysis, you have the dominant types, the ones who want to get there quickly, they want to make their decision, they want to move on. You have the inspirationals, they love talking, they love hearing their own voice, they love bubbly, they're happy, they want to have fun. Fun is their driving force. You have the sympathetics, the caregivers. They want everyone to be happy. Their key is everybody. And then you have the C's. the calculating, the intelligent calculating specific person. They're analytical. They need every fact and figure. So what we need to do is we need to be able to sell every single personality type. And again, that comes down to respect. Do you know who you're talking to? Do you know what they want? So in this exercise, we're going to make a story that will help you sell to any person ever. So first, write down every possible objection to your offer. So pen and paper, please, and pause this video if you're watching the recording. Otherwise, I hope you brought pen and paper. So write down every single objection your offer has. If it's buying a house, it could be the price. If it could be the speed. It could be the mortgage. It could be what will the neighbors say? What will I do now? Where am I going to go? What's going to happen next? In the Swedish Wealth Institute, is it worth it? Do I have the time? Do I have the money? Do I have the need? Will this network really help me? Are the right people here for me? All these things. Write down every single objection you can come up with, and then ask some other people, what other objections could there be? Once you have that list, it's time to create a story that explains your product and answers all the objections. I'm going to give you an example. We just got a deal from a company called BarWorks. They have a fantastic property deal in the US that we are helping them launch internationally. So we're in charge of their international investors, which is a very good deal for both parties. We really have a win-win. And the great thing is it's a total win for our investors. It is the highest rate of return that I've pretty much ever seen. And now we're able to offer it. So I'm very, very pleased about that. What happens, though, is because the offer is so good, everyone is going to go, well, it's too good to be true. It sounds too good to be true, and usually that means it is. Okay, then we know that's number one. That is an objection. Then, how much money do I have to get? I don't understand this investment. Who else is doing it? I don't want to be alone. How quickly do I have to make a decision? You have all these different objections to why would I not buy this? Should I put my money somewhere else? This doesn't really fit my central strategy. This wasn't what I had planned for. All these things are coming up in people's heads. So instead of just telling them about the investment, if you tell them a story that answers all these objections, what will happen is all of a sudden those objections go away. Because the thing is, a lot of salespeople or a lot of people in sales situations, they'll put their hand in the sand. They'll know that everyone, almost everyone, is going to complain about the risk. So you think if you don't discuss the risk, they won't realize that the risk is something they need to discuss, and it won't come up. And since you avoided it, you'll get the sale. What you don't know is what they're thinking, because they're not going to tell you about the risk and that they're worried about it, but they're thinking it. So if you don't answer that objection, even though they haven't vocalized it, it's going to come up. The one other issue, though, is if they vocalize it, it becomes true and it is powerful. So if you can get there before and say, okay, where in this investment the risk is XYZ, we have minimized it through ABC, and we've done the research by looking at DEF. Once you know these things, then it's very easy to prove that once you can show that, then that objection goes away. So we're going to create a story. I'm going to tell you the story I tell people about the BarWorks investment. So what I do is I say, hey, I got some great news. We just got an incredible investment. In all my experience, this is the best investment I have ever seen. I earned the right. I then go into a needs analysis. I ask them some questions. I ask them about what are they doing, where's their situation, and do they remember about sandwich lease options. Okay, so now I've dropped something. I've asked a question. I'm like, no, what is that? So now I'm not explaining my investment. I'm explaining a concept. And I start by saying, well, everyone says that a sandwich lease option is kind of like the holy grail of property investing. It is where you get an investment where you take over a property. And then I explain the whole concept of a sandwich lease option. So what I've done then is I've said, okay, now that you know this is the investment we've got. It's a company in the US. They contacted me a month ago. And they told me this offer they have for our investors. And I just felt, wow, no, this is too good to be true. I don't believe it. And I almost hung up right then and there. See, now I've answered that objection. I said I had the same objection. They called me multiple times. I made it all the way up to their leadership team, their global leadership team. I spoke to one of their managers. Okay, so they've taken it seriously. I've taken it seriously, and I've had a very deep discussion. So, and he explained to me exactly how all their numbers work, so I could understand how this investment was possible. All right, so now they know that if they trust me, they now know at least that I've seen every single number in this business, and I've done the analytical research. So the analyticals feel, okay, good. There's been good research done. The inspirationals and the dominants and the sympathetics, they go, great, okay, nice. I don't have to do the numbers. Daniel did it for me. So all four are pleased. So what they do is they run office hotels, like shared office space, and which is an incredible investment that we all know. And they have a background from doing it from Regus, the largest one in the world. So now I've given them credibility. They've come from the biggest in the world. What they saw was that the one issue for shared office spaces was that usually, they're on the third floor. You don't know they're there until you're there for a meeting, right? Yeah, you never know where they are. So they have to spend a lot of money on marketing to get business people to know that they even exist. People are like, yeah, that's true. Well, they've found a way to get filled up without spending $1 on marketing. And now all of a sudden, the investment isn't what's incredible. This is what's incredible. Now we've shifted the focus to, whoa, how do they do that? Well, what they do, it's incredible. They work with only prime A locations. So they actually have an office space on Madison Square Garden. Now we got credibility on Madison Square Garden. So, everyone wants an address on Madison Square Garden. Can you imagine having that on your business card, that was your office? And they're like, yeah, wow, that's incredible. Of course everyone wants it. So now we're creating their want for the product, and they can then identify that everyone else would want this product. So now we're starting to see how this would give us a good investment. All right, so they have this, and what they do is, in this specific one, it's called Chambers Street. It's 1 block away from City Hall. So it's incredible. It's right nearby. Can you imagine every single lawyer would want this office so they can say, hey, well, of course you're going to use me. I live at City Hall. My office is a block away. And now they're saying, yeah, okay, all right, we see their clientele. It's high scale. It's quality clientele. This is good. All right, so what they do is they actually take over an old bar, and then they renovate it into an office space. They actually leave the bar in place. So now they're a little curious. Why would they take a bar? What's that? So what happens is that since bars are always on the bottom floor and they're in prime A locations, they have thousands of people walking by every day, and they look in and they see this is an office space. And so they have people coming in every day signing up. And what's cool is that in this specific one, they have 300 seats. What they do is 100 of those seats they rent out full time. So people rent them. This is my workspace. This is my office. I rent it. This is my spot. And what they do then is that they then sell these office spaces, these workspaces to us as investors. So that's our possible investment. Well, they charge $25,000 per chair. It was really cool. So now I mentioned the price. So now I've been open with what it's going to cost. I'm not hiding it. I'm telling them. So they charge $25,000 per workspace. And what they do is once they have sold all these workspaces, that's given them a full cash out. They've gotten all the money they spent to get the office, to renovate it, to do it up. They've gotten that all back. And what's even more incredible is they then guarantee us a return on these office spaces. So because they know they're going to be filled, they guarantee us a return. And because they guarantee, they leave themselves a little margin on top. So now creating safety, they're leaving themselves a margin. And that margin actually covers the entire costs for the entire office space, for the entire office, the entire hotel, all their costs. So what's happened is they've taken 100 seats. They now have no money left in the deal, and they have no costs. So they have no risk left. And they still have 200 chairs left. What they do with them is they rent them out half time or less, because then they can charge more per day. And even better, they can have overfilled capacity. So all of their offices, they have 5 in New York and 1 in San Francisco. They're all working at between 110 and 120% capacity. They need 33% to be completely self-sufficient, to cover their costs, and they got 120. Can you imagine how much they're making? All of a sudden, okay, it makes sense. I see this now. And what's even better is, since they leave the bar, they can have after works, they're making some money there. They can always also have project launches. They can have product launches, kickoffs, after works. They have all these extra income streams, and all that is pure profit. And with their office spaces, like take the one in Madison Square Garden, they have so many companies that are just registering a PO box there, and that's extra income for them. So they're creating so much, and that is why they can offer us this incredible return. All of a sudden, okay, it makes sense. It makes sense. So what I've negotiated for all of us and our investors, and I've created, all right, this is for me. I'm doing this as well, and we've done it for all of our investors. So hey, you're going to get a special offer. What we've done is they have a tier. So you buy between 1 and 5 chairs. You can buy more if you want, but the different levels goes by 1 to 5. And first, they guarantee you at 1 chair, they guarantee you 14% return. If you buy 3, that goes all the way up to 15.5 per year. And if you take 5, it goes all the way up to 16, which is incredible. And the cool thing is, this is on a 10-year lease, and at the end of which they'll buy you out for 125% of your investment. So it's an incredible investment opportunity. What we've done for our investors, though, is I've negotiated that lease length down to 2 years. So after 2 years, we can choose to get bought out, which means that you're getting 16% year 1, 16% year 2, and at the end of which you get another 25%. So you got a guaranteed 57% return over 2 years, which is incredible. And that's where I just continue the story. And you see what I'm doing everywhere? I'm answering every single objection that I listed for the investment. I was nervous. I understand how they feel. I answer that. I show them how we've done the research. I tell them that I Googled it. I looked for everything, and I can't find a negative thing about this company. And I've gotten testimonials telling me that this is good. I talk about how they run their numbers, how it works, that these are good numbers, and that this is an incredible investment. I'll often lay in, hey, wow, I'm so jealous. I wish I was doing this investment rather than doing what we're doing, because it's so incredible, the margin. And you just drop these needs in there, and you're seed planting it the whole way. Once you have your basic story, you got to remember what they told it in the needs analysis. So everyone will tell you these different things when you're asking them questions. So what you do is, once you know their needs, you tailor your story to fit that individual. And you fit it based on their personality type. So you have a basic story that can fit everybody, that covers every objection and covers everyone. And then when you know, okay, this is his or her chief objection and his or her chief personality type, well, you'll focus the story more into those objections and personality types. So you just keep tweaking this for each individual. Because it's really important when you present your offer that you make sure that you refer to what they told you. Because the worst thing a salesman can do, and I've been in sales situations where I've made that mistake, but also when people have tried to sell to me and made that mistake, is when a classic. I was at a seminar, and the presenter, he asked the crowd, what is your expected return? What is your goal of a return? What do you want to get as a return? What would you like? And we're all answering this question. We're saying 15%, 10%, 20%. Someone even said 30%. And what happened then is he just went, great, that's really good. You know what? Just for easy math, I'm going to use 10%. And then he clicked with his clicker to get the next slide, and it said 10%. And my whole feeling there was, well, look, if you're going to ask me, and I was specific, I said I want a 12.5% return. So I put some effort into my reply. I didn't just give him a standard. That was what the return I wanted. Since I told him that, I put in the effort to give him my truth. And then he was going to use 10%, whatever I said. I could have said 6%, he would have used 10%. I could have said 58%. He was going to use 10% because it was done in his slide. I just went, well, you don't respect me. Why are you asking me a question if you don't want the answer? And that's the same thing most salespeople do, is they'll sit there in a meeting, they'll go, wow, that's really, really good. I completely understand your situation. I understand where you're looking to sell this house. I understand that you need 10,000 pounds to go off and get your new home. And I understand you have a mortgage of 52,000, that your cost to sell will be 2,000. So I understand that you need 64,000 to get this, to sell this. And you've done that whole needs analysis. And they're like, wow, yeah, you really understand me. And then they just completely drop that behind and say, well, what we do is this is what we are. These are who we do. This is who we deals with. And therefore, on this deal, we're going to offer you 54. And no referral back to, I would love to give you 64, and I'm really sorry, but the best I can do for you in this situation is 54 because X, Y, and Z, and you're respecting them, because 54 might be your offer. You have to show them that you respect that they really needed 64. So many forget. They just say, well, look, my offer is 54. I'm like, well, why did you go about and asking me all these questions? Why did you get out of me that I need 64, otherwise I'm done for, if you were going to offer me 54 anyway? Then you could have just come into my home and offered 54 and then left. Why did I spend an hour telling you about my issues? And that is why it's so important. Respect the individual, create a story, and then tailor it. So negotiation. Negotiation is fun. Negotiation is very fun, and there are very many different tactics. I'm going to share a few that I like to use. Here are some alternatives. The first one, present your offer. Plain and simple. Make it easy. You've done your whole sales process. You've answered every single objection. They're ready to buy, and you tell them, I'm ready to offer you $54,000 for this house. Or it's going to cost you no more than 3,997 krona. Just present the offer, and you expect them to buy it, and you give them the contract, and you're done. That is your entire negotiation. You just presented your offer because you've done the work before. That's one way. I love that. Another is if it's a more open negotiation. You're trying to create a partnership, or you're trying to negotiate a home. You let them tell you their offer first. You never want to be the one who draws that line in the sand. Because what happens is, if you say, well, I want 50%, they might have been willing to give you 70. But since you said 50, that's going to be your best. Now they're going to be negotiating to get a better deal. You might end up with 30 when you could have had 70. But if they give you theirs first and they say, you know what, I'm willing to offer you 40%. Well, from here it can only go up. They might say 60%. Well, I'll think if it goes up. Or even worst case, what if it doesn't go up? You got 60 instead of 30. So you let them put their offer first, and then you negotiate from there. You let them explain their offer. You come with counter offers, and then you get into bartering. Bartering can be fun. You know, the classic mall or just trading market where you go in and each side says, well, what is this? Oh, it costs 20. Well, I'm willing to offer you 10. Well, 18, 12, 16, 14. How about we go on 15? 15's fair. Deal. If you're really cocky, though, you can go on reverse bartering. That's a fun little tactic that I'm too scared to use myself. I've used it a couple of times, though, because it is very, very effective. What you do is you get into that same bartering situation. They tell you 20. You say 10. They say, well, all right, how about 18? You say 8. Like, what? Well, I told you 10. You didn't take it, so now it's 8. My next offer will be 6. And now 2 things will happen. They'll get terrified and say, okay, well, give me 10, and we have a deal. Well, sorry, it's 8 now. My next offer is 6. You want it at 8. And all of a sudden, they've agreed to 10 from 20 or down to 10. And now you're just arguing about that. And you might say, all right, you know what? Just take 10. And you won. You didn't have to barter. You got it at your price. Or you say, you know what? Now it's 6. Oh, okay, let's go for 8. No, I'm sorry, it's 6. You keep fighting them down. And every offer you give is lower until they go, all right, I'll accept your 6. It's very, very efficient. The other alternative is that they get pissed off and you get into a huge row and you leave. So you probably want to be careful when you use bartering. It's got to be something where you can walk away, okay, and you know they want it more than you do. But it's very efficient. If they want the sale more than you want the buy, then you can use reverse bartering. The other tactic, and this is something I live by, is win-win or no deal. In every single negotiation, when we're talking, I'm presenting it as a win for them. So I'm making sure to present the offer that they're winning. Even if I'm saying, look, I'll give you 10% when they were hoping for 50, I'm going to make sure that they understand that their 10% is going to be worth so much more than they could have ever imagined. So it's going to be better than their 50. And then I have to live up to it. What's also important is that you always have to be prepared, if it's not a win-win, to leave. If you're going to screw the other person over, do not sell. Never, ever, ever, ever sell when the other person loses. If you've negotiated a deal where they lose, no deal. Never. If it's a win-win, always the best. And a lot of people, they will take a win-lose. They'll give the other person the win. They'll lose just to get the deal across the line. That is also one of the worst things you can do. That is a classic, you know what, we'll lose money on this deal, but I really needed it for my numbers this month, or it's going to give me some points with the boss, so I'll take it, and it'll be horrible, but I'll do it. No, skip it. Have the self-respect to say, look, I cannot take your offer. It's just not good enough. So what often will happen, if they want the sale, you'll find the win-win. If they don't really want the deal, well, why give them the win? Leave. Make no deal. Win-win or no deal is the key to effective negotiation. It's fair, you can be tough, and you can still come out. Even when you lose, you've left the table and both parties can still respect each other. You never have the breakdown of relationship, and that is important. So the next webinar is on the 22nd, so Thursday next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll go into sales training part 4.